Welcome back, Cloudarians, and today our main task on Linux is to manage users and groups. Okay, so this knowledge is both beneficial to cybersecurity people and cloud members. So Cyberians and Cloudarians, we are trying to manage cloud users and groups inside our Linux, and this is how we're going to do it exactly. We already know the path. Download the pen file and then save the public IP SSH into the instance. Now let's begin. We have to SSH reach our new instance by the commands the cd download. Then you're going to shmut into the pen file. Then you SSH into the EC2 instance by accepting that yes, you want to reach that particular instance. So after that, then we dive straight right into today's task, that is to create users first. So here we SSH using the commands. If you are new here, kindly go back to the previous Linux lab. You're going to see how we were able to SSH into this instance. Okay, and you will get it. It's still the same way we've been doing it. So yes, then we are in the instance. So right now we are supposed to create users. Here we have a couple of users we want to create. We have their first names and their last names. We have their user ID. We have their roles. You can see here we have their passwords. I chose to give them a different password, the one that I can easily use for this lab. You can choose to use any password of your choice. This is for practical purposes. So I'm creating my first user, Alejandro Rosales, and their user ID Rosales. So I'm creating the user on my Linux here based on their user IDs. I'm not going with their full first name and last name. No, I'm using their user ID. So that's the first one, the Rosales. The second one is Iosu, Jado, Iguan, M Major, M Jackson, N Wolf, Pisantos, Martinez, and Saxa. I think I created about 8 of them. I didn't create all 10, but if you want to create all 10, you can go ahead and create all 10 because we will use them for other labs. Okay, so yes, you can create all 10 and ensure that the spelling of each user ID is correct. So to create a user, you have to first know which directory you are in. So print your current directory and make sure that you are in your home directory. If you're not sure, type in the pwd, be in the home directory. Then we start adding our users. So the command to add user is sudo. You are an admin trying to add a user, so you need to have, or you need to be in the admin privilege before you can do that. So sudo user add, then the user ID follows. So sudo user add Rosales. That is the first user I'm adding. Then you press enter. After that, you have to input the command for their password. So that is sudo password Rosales. But this one, the password is not going to spell in full. It's going to be passwd Rosales. Then you press enter. Remember, in Kali, when you're in Kali or in Linux, when you're trying to input a password, it does not show. It's going to be blank. So be careful, or try to get a password that you can easily remember, because it's going to ask you to confirm that particular password. If you don't forget, if you've forgotten the password or you made a mistake, then you have to start all over again. So that is what we've created, the first user. We are going to do that for all the 8 users. We are going to create users for all the 8, but to first validate that the first user we created is indeed created, we have to enter the command, the sudo cat /etc/passwords, then this grep command, then the cat -d -f1. This command will help you visualize the created users and not necessarily for you to remember for now. So cat is one of the most common commands, popular ones, and the purpose of cat is to display files. You can also enter the etc password to display the whole content of a particular file. Do you understand? But this option displays more information and is less readable. So don't bother about the second part of this command. Now we have to create the other users, and that is what I'm doing. I'm using the same command. If you remember, I said you use the sudo user add, then the user ID. So I'm doing that for EU Owusu. I'm doing that for Jado. I'm using that for Iguan, M Major, M Jackson, Nwo, Pisantos. And I'm going to do the password for them as well in the same format. So yes, I'm creating how many users, if I should count. I think I created about 8 users. So you can choose to create 5, but know that you need to create multiple users because we are going to be adding them into groups. Do you understand? And the groups are also in multiple, so you need every user in a group. So that is why we need more users for this particular lab. So create as many users as possible. After you've created the users, confirm that your users are actually created by using the cat command I just showed you. So sudo cat, then the /etc/password, great command, then you cat into the particular file you want, -F1, then you press the command and we go ahead. Okay, so our next task after doing this is to create our groups, but we need to finish creating these users first. All the users here, we need to first create them first. Okay, now you can see that we have all of them here. Now let's create our groups. You see the format at which we use to create users, that's the same or a similar thing we're going to be using to create our groups. Okay, so here we're going to be doing our sudo group add, then the group name. Here we have several groups that we'll be creating. We'll be creating all the groups here. The groups are sales, HR, finance, personnel, CEO, shipping, and managers. Sales, HR, finance, personnel, CEO, shipping, and managers. So create all these groups by using the command sudo group add sales and the group name. That's what I said. You don't need to create a password for the group, just create the group. Don't add password for the group, just create a group. And then you can also confirm that the group has been created by using the cat space /etc/group. The first one we did for users was /password. Here we are using for, there's no password for group, so /group, exactly like that. Then we go add all the others. So after we've added all the groups, we would like to now add users to a particular we would like to add users to a particular group. Our first user we created, if you could remember, was Arusalis. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, yes. So we are trying to add the first user to our first group, sales. And to do that, you're going to use a particular command. You can see the group has been created. We are going to be using a similar command, that's the sudo user mode -a -g sales, then the Arusalis. So the format we're going to be using is the sudo user mode -small a -G, the group, and then the user ID that you used. If you mistake a name or you miss a letter, it will tell you that user is not found. So if you missed or you made a mistake with a particular username, you have to repeat that mistake again, or else you would want to create a new user with the right username to be able to move on in Linux. So it is more like case sensitive. So that's what we are going to be using. Let's add a user list to the sales. We are going to be adding each user to a different group. So you can choose to use this at your own discretion. You can choose to add Owusu to the shipping group you've created. You can choose to add Iguan to the HR group, add M Major to the finance group, add M Jackson to the CUO group, and so on and so forth, like that. But ensure to add every user must get a group. Add all the users. They should be in groups. Add EC2 user to all the groups. That is what we are trying to achieve here. Add them to the groups, just like so. Okay. Then our task 4, we will try to log in using the new user account. We've created users, we've created groups, we've given every user a group. That's, we've put in every user into a particular group, right? Now we want to log in into the new users. For example, I want to be Arosalis, I want to be Iosu, I want to be Iguan, I want to be M Major, I want to be M Jackson. Do you get? How do we do that? So that will bring us to our next task. You have to be fast when you are trying to add these users to their groups. You have to be fast about it. So that one, to do that, you have to press the command, the SU. The SU command allows you to log in as a user. To get, now that you have some users in your machine, you can log in into a particular user. Do you understand? But you realize that when you use some command like the SU or the SU command, you don't have some privileges like you would for when you use sudo command. Do you get? Now if you enter like the su Arosalis, you have to input the password, then you will be Arosalis. You will now be in Arosalis home directory. Do you understand? You can print the current directory, that's the pwd command, to see where you are. Then inside the user you can create files. So here we'll be touching on a file. To create files, you have to use the command attach and then the file name you want to use. Here our file name is myfile.txt. You can have any name for your file. You can choose to say the file name is rachel.txt. That is your file name. Do you understand? So inside you want to touch a file, but because Arosalis has not been given the necessary permissions, they cannot touch a particular file. If you get me, they can't touch a file. They can't write files in the EC2 user directory. That's what this means. Now you try as a a sudo command. To sudo touch myfile.txt, press enter, and then the password. It will tell you that Arosalis is not a sudoer. So Arosalis is just a user. He is not a sudoer to have special command to run root write. So Arosalis does not have root write. That is why he can't touch a file in the EC2 user